Welcome back, everybody. Jeff White is here with me, and Jeff and I have done a number of videos together. You may have seen some of them, like this one over here. Anyhow, Jeff's got some really, really good experience. He is a professional driver as well. And what are we going to go over today? Oh, first car.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So, do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
You go first.
All right. First car, 1994 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo with the inline six. The 4-liter inline six.
I know that engine.
Yeah, it was an automatic. It had two-wheel drive.
Oh.
And the transfer case went to two, because most of those were just 4 high and 4 low, and this was 2 high, 4 low. So I every time it snowed in Colorado where I grew up, I would just pop it in a 2-wheel drive and like go whip shitties in the parking lot. I always wanted to do donuts. That car was awesome. I had a lot of fun in that car. Freaking bulletproof, man. What about you?
So it's funny because my first vehicle was a Dodge D150, which if you don't know the history of the Dodge D150 or the Ram, in 1980, which was the year my truck was, that was the last year that Dodge called it a D150. But they put Ram decals on it. So they were getting everybody prepared for the fact that it was starting to be called a Ram. And then later on, it was called a Ram. So that's when they switched over. Because they didn't want to follow Ford's F-150 or F-250. They wanted to separate, so they started calling it Ram.
D150.
The D150.
That would have been funny, yeah.
So, but my truck had the inline six, but was a 3.8 liter. So it was the same version of the engine in your Jeep, but just the previous carbureted iteration of that. And it was 2-wheel drive. Manual, 4-speed, and a Hurst shifter and everything. And I would go to church parking lots. And I guarantee that my friends still have videos of me busting kind of donuts because it was not limited slip, so it would be these weird...
Yeah, the one-wheeler peeler. Yeah.
But they were donuts in church parking lots, and we would do that until the cops came, then we'd leave. And that was the thing. It was just like, I'm going to tape job in his truck doing, whatever in his parking lots. And that's how I learned that stuff. But that was my first vehicle. It was the first vehicle I ever customized. And the thing about that truck is my parents bought it brand new in 1980. And it was my dad took my mom to the hospital in it when she was giving birth to me. So that truck is still in my family. It's completely taken apart now. And it's being paused to be put back together because there was another project that was in its way. But that was my first vehicle. Still have it. Still going to build it into something different at this point. Not with the inline slant six. It's going to get something completely different. Still manual though.
That'll be cool, man.
Yeah.
I wish I still had my Jeep. I had a lot of fun in that car. I had only a couple really close friends growing up in high school, and we did all kinds of dumb stuff.
The cool thing about the Jeep is you can put people in it.
Yeah.
At a time when like SUVs weren't that popular and the only other car you could have was a sedan, and in high school sedans weren't that popular. It's like unless you had a really cool sedan.
Yeah.
Sedans
most people that had in my school anyway, most people that had sedans just had like it was just a car. Like they didn't care.
Right, exactly.
Which is fine. But again, it comes back to like I don't understand why people don't care about cars. But I get it. People are different. But same thing. Like that was the first car I ever customized. That was what I learned to change oil on. I mean, I learned like everything I ever started with on that Jeep. And it was bad. At the time I was really into in-car entertainment. So I had I put a head unit in it, and I ordered it from Crutchfield. And the first time I put it in, I followed the directions, and I went to put the battery cable back on, and I was like panicking because it said like be careful, you might set off airbags or whatever, and I was like, oh my god, and I had to like. Okay, nothing happened. All right, I'm fine. But so I learned that, and then I put I worked construction one summer when I was 16 and saved up a bunch of money, and I was like, I'm gonna do one thing nice for myself with money, and I bought an amp, 2 10s, and a box. And I put it in the back of that thing, and I bumped all the time. I love that thing, dude. And I bought at Walmart. I'm not even making this up. I was totally this guy. At Walmart, I bought 2 green. It was a green Jeep, and I bought 2 green neon lights and I put them on the back in the window right there, and they beat to the music.
Oh my god!
And they were so bad that they had to each had their own controller. So as I was driving, I had to match both lights, like the sensitivity to the music. I had to match them so they beat the same way. Yeah, it was bad. And then we ultimately, like, I got, like, a cheap little screen from Walmart and, like, put that in there and, like, mounted my Xbox on top of
my god.
Yeah, so we went camping one time and we were fucking playing Halo in the back of my Jeep, and we killed the battery and got stuck in the woods. Yeah, that was funny.
I never did anything that cool with my truck.
My parents thought that, I used to go four-wheeling with it. Like, we'd have off periods, and I would just go out into the mountains and just go drive around with my buddies. And one time we killed the battery that night, and I came home the next morning, and my parents were like livid. And I didn't drink in high school. Honestly, I can count on one hand the number of drinks I ever had in high school.
I can't count on one hand the number of drinks I had in high school.
Well, a lot of, like, all of my friends drank, right? Well, not my, like, super close friends, but everybody in school I knew was drinking. I just didn't like doing it. I was like, oh, this tastes like dirt water.
I started off like that, and then it changed. It just went the other direction.
I came home late the next morning, and my parents were like, "Where were you last night?" And I told them the truth, and they were like, "We don't believe you." They were like, "Your battery died because you were playing Xbox in the back of your Jeep."
The woods.
And I'm like, I'm not even kidding. Like, you guys know me. Like, I got in more trouble for shit that I didn't do than the stuff that I did do, actually. Like, I was a oh god, we did some dumb shit. But that Jeep got me into and out of more trouble. And then what killed me was, my parents bought it brand new, and then my sister drove it for her high school years, and she was 6 years ahead of me, 7 years ahead of me, 6 years older, so because she skipped a grade. She's smart, I'm not dumb. Anyway, she had that thing, and then I got it passed down from her, and so my parents essentially, like, let me drive that car, which was awesome. The deal was, like, when I went to college, they were like, you don't get a car. Like, we gave you the car for high school so you could get to work and you could have a job and you could, whatever, but, like, we're not giving you a car to go to college. Like, you're going to go to college and you're going to live in the dorm, and you're not going to have a car. And I was like, all right, cool, I can handle that. So when I went to college, Dad, oh, God, it still kills me to this day. Dad traded in the Jeep and bought a new 4Runner, which, it was the V8 4Runner.
Oh.
It's a good rig. Wasn't my fucking Jeep. And what killed me was Dad told me what they gave him on it, because it had 200,000 miles.
Like $1,500.
No, dude, they gave him $500.
$500?
And
you can sell the motor for
I was livid. Dad, I love you, but that was a dick move. Like, all you would have had to do was be like, I'm gonna call TJ.
Hey, you want to give me $1,000?
Yeah, seriously, I would have done that in a heartbeat. I remember when he did that. I didn't talk to him for like weeks. I was so mad. But I can't complain because he made a bet with me when I went to college. Actually, what happened was he made a bet with my sister when she went to college, and she went and somehow ended up making a bet with my dad where if she got straight A's her first year of college, he's like, I'll buy you a car or something like that. And my dad and my mom went to college, and the first year they just like partied and like didn't do anything and didn't get good grades, right? And then my sister went to college, and she had like this thing with Dad for some reason, and she didn't get straight A's. And so when I got to college, my dad was like, whatever, you're going to party, like, I don't even care. It's like, I know you're going to have it. Because, like, I was the second kid, and my sister went to Princeton, and I was like, I'm going to go make movies in Montana. And so they didn't give a shit. And so they basically, like, they ended up being proud of me in the long run, but, like, at first, they just didn't care. It was kind of like, whatever, you're going to do your own thing. And Dad, I was like, no, you know what? I bet I get straight A's. And he was like, basically was like, bullshit.
Right.
If you get straight A's, I'll buy you a car. And I was like, okay. Like,
I'll take you up on
that Lancer Evo that I wanted? Like, that you're going to buy me the Evo I've wanted for years? And he's like, all right, yeah. And so I busted my ass, and I got straight A's freshman year, and I made it through the film school gate. Like, I fucking killed it. And Dad, like, true his word, I got my transcript or whatever, and I came back, and we went out, and he fucking bought me a WRX. So that was the first car I ever had. Yeah, so I got super lucky on that one.
Anything for a car. Really,
Yeah, yeah.
anything. Like I wouldn't get straight A's for anything but a car.
Yeah, no,
I
me
mean,
neither.
really, I think my dad, he did a thing like that with me. There was this 31 Ford, which is the car that I had a couple years ago and sold, and the deal was, because I was like, okay, for some reason, my dad liked when I was into musical instruments.
Yeah,
And
my
I love
parents loved
I love
that
playing
too.
guitar, but my dad wanted me to be part of the marching band, and I think the only reason why he wanted me to be part of the marching band was because the marching band went with the football team, and he liked football, and I was going to play football because
Yeah.
I just wasn't into it, and I went to Del Sal High School, which was the #1 football team in the country at the time, undefeated winning streak of
Oh,
like
wow.
100 and whatever games
Jesus.
since 1991. I mean, it was ridiculous. So,
That's
in
amazing.
order for him to have and live through me and the football team, I had to agree so that we could do this car, was that I had to do a second year of marching band, which I already done one.
Would you play a marching band?
Trombone.
Trombone? Oh, dude, did you guys ever do trombone suicide?
No.
Oh man,
I didn't participate. Okay, so
Okay,
I
so
was
you
the
were just
worst.
in it. Yeah,
I was in it
yeah,
to see
yeah.
what it was like.
You were that guy. I
But
was
then I
section
realized,
leader
like-
at the drum line, and I had to deal with assholes
I
like
wanted
you.
to be
Ah.
the percussion section. I actually went to the band to play guitar, but
That didn't work.
it didn't work. It didn't work. Well, not for the marching band, for the jazz band.
Oh, gotcha.
But but the school I had didn't really focus on band. Okay, so
Yeah,
it was
dude,
like,
none of them do. Yeah.
well, there are some that do.
there, 5.
There are some in California that do, yeah. But ours was not one of them. And so they had a horrible music program. And the teacher, I went and played my guitar for her. I thought I did a great job, and she was like, "You don't really have the classical guitar style.
Oh, that's
You don't
brutal.
know." Yeah, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, "Well, you could teach. You're a teacher, right? Like, we're not professional. I'm not trying out for like the professional jazz band. I'm trying out for high school. Like we could
You're like
learn."
a freshman or a sophomore.
Yeah,
or
I'm a
something?
freshman.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it was like in between my my 8th grade and freshman year. Actually,
Oh,
I don't even think it was an actual official freshman yet. And she
Here's
just
this
like
budding young man who
right,
has this
yeah,
desire.
loves
Yeah.
guitar, but we're just gonna tell him that he doesn't
Yeah.
have
Why
what
don't you
it
go
takes.
kick rocks?
Right, because we're paying you. We're paying you to play guitar in our band. Yeah, for some reason.
Oh my god.
And and I had my own equipment and everything like that, but she just didn't. I don't know, maybe she didn't like me or something. But she said like, well, we don't have, and I think she needed trombonists and trumpeters and stuff, because I had a buddy who was actually a professional drummer at one point, awesome drummer, Andrew Marcolisi, who played for the band Finch. And
Oh, dude, I love Finch.
Yeah, he was
Hell
the drummer
yeah.
for Finch. So that's how good he was.
I used to bump them on my 210s. And
There you go.
That's awesome.
There you go.
Man, small
And
world.
he's that good. Like
Yeah.
he was literally that good, and they made him play trumpet.
Oh man.
Because there wasn't enough room in the band for
Wow, small world.
for a drummer like him, and the only actual professional drummer I knew from that group was him, and they made him play trumpet. So there you go.
Wow.
That's a sign there. And so I agreed to play the trombone because I didn't have anything else to do in freshman. I didn't fit in really all that well. I was kind of
Yeah.
awkward that year, and so I was like,
Everybody is.
I'll try it out.
Yeah.
I'll try this thing out. But I didn't. Upon agreeing to do so and hanging out with all the people, I'm like, these people are not my people.
Yeah.
But then I was already kind of invested, and then my dad threw the whole like, well, if you do another year, we'll do the 31 Ford, and I'm like, okay. I just agreed. I didn't end up doing it though. I had to like renege on my whole deal.
Yeah.
But we still did the car.
Anything for the car, man.
Anything for
yeah.
the car. Anything.
It was amazing how much of my life has gone back to cars.
Yeah.
Like decisions that I made that were entirely based off of cars, and yeah, it's fully
it's
like,
weird when you
even
look-
though I didn't know it was happening at the time, the cars were determining the direction of my life.
And you don't know until you look back and you go, wait a minute.
Why did
know
I do
this?
this?
I went to the Marine Corps because I didn't want to go to the Marine Corps because I didn't think they had Humvee mechanics. And then when the guy I worked with was like, oh no, they don't just have infantry, they have Humvee mechanics. Like, you can go and be a mechanic. I'm like, what? Really? And then I went and joined the Marine Corps. Like, as soon as I realized they had mechanics, I'm like, oh, I can do both? I can do both. It's like,
Yeah.
that was okay. I would not just go to the Marine Corps just to be an infantryman or whatever.
Yeah.
I had to be part of cars. And even though I made the wrong decision at that point to be an aviation mechanic over a Humvee mechanic, which if I went back I would change or do differently, I would have went with, and that was the one time I didn't make the decision in the right direction for cars. I actually made it for planes, which doesn't make any sense. But I would go back and make it for cars because that was the one time I didn't, and I know that I would have been a way better Humvee mechanic than I was ever an aviation mechanic.
Yeah.
Because I can drive Humvees,
Yeah.
But I still went and became a Humvee driver because that's the decision that I would have made anyway. I was gonna put myself in a Humvee no matter what. And that. It's always the decision to do cars. So how do I? Yeah,
Given
I'm
that
gonna make
option,
this-
it's an easy option. I mean, I think it is.
Do I get to drive anything?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'll do that.
So, what was the first car that you chose? Whether you bought it or somebody else gave it to you or whatever, but so for me, mine was the Subaru. It was an 06 Subaru WRX TR actually. It
That was the first car
race
other than
trim.
like mine was the truck, whatever.
Right, yeah.
First car I ever bought other than that was other than my TL1000 that I bought when I wanted a motorcycle. That's completely different. But when I bought a car it was a 96 Mystic Cobra.
Ooh, that's it. All right.
That I bought. My buddy actually bought it.
Okay.
We were both on deployment at the same time. He was sending me pictures. He was on a aircraft carrier, and I was on. This is the guy who stole my dog. That's another story for another time. Anyway,
That was a nice segue there. Yeah.
another story for another time. We'll save that for another video. Anyway, he was on aircraft carrier on deployment. I was in Iraq on deployment. We were sending like emails back and forth. He's like, "Hey, I'm looking at this." He was into Mustangs. I was into Mustangs. I don't know, for some reason Mustangs were always kind of they struck a chord with me or whatever, and
I like him too.
yeah, Mustangs are cool.
Yeah.
And so he was like, I'm gonna buy this Mustang, and he sent me these pictures of this 96 Mystic Cobra, and it was like low mileage from Texas, super clean. He's like, I'm gonna buy this car while I'm on deployment because you get a lot of money when you're on deployment. Your paycheck doubles, so, and you're not spending any money because you're on deployment, and so you're pocketing all this money. So he bought this car, and when we got back off our deployments, for some reason he drove it around a little bit and then didn't want it. And he's like, I'll sell it to you. You want to buy it? I'm like, yeah, I want that car.
Okay.
96 Mystic Cobra, and this was 2003, 2004 at the time, so it's still a fairly new car.
Yeah.
And a 96 Mystic Cobra, like the dual overhead cam, would rev to something crazy, even back then.
Yeah.
Not obviously as much as like a
Now those
GT50
didn't
now.
have independent rear suspension yet, did
No,
they? Okay,
solid.
so it's still a solid axle. Was it a live axle?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I mean, it handled all right.
Yeah.
For what I remember, it was fast. I mean, it was really a fast car. It sounded great. Don't take the cats off, all the cats, because it just doesn't sound right. Leave the cats on, or at least maybe minimize the cats, but leave some of the back pressure because it just doesn't sound right. And leave it more stock height than don't lower it all too much. It doesn't run that good after that. But yeah, man, that car was awesome. And then I bought that car and sold it for $2,000 more than I bought it for. Like,
Oh, I love those.
Shortly after.
Yeah. I've gotten lucky twice with cars doing that. And one time was I still regret getting rid of it, but I got lucky and got another one. I had a 2001 Dodge Ram 2500 with the 5.9 Cummins, the 24 valve. And it was a 5-speed, which was like the only complaint. It was a 4-wheel drive 5-speed, long box,
Okay.
Quad cab, whatever. And that thing was just bomb. I love that truck. I bought it from a construction worker who bought it brand new, and I
those are the
paid
best.
$8,000 for it. It had a lot of miles on it, but he was like, "Here's all the receipts." He's like, "It was a work truck. I didn't beat on it. Whatever. Here it is."
Yeah.
And it came with a topper and like a ladder rack and all the stuff, And I was like, "Fuck it, yeah, I'm doing it." So I bought this truck. Loved it. Had it for several years, and when I went to sell it, I sold it to a dude in Colorado for $10,000. And I put like 130,000 miles on top of what it
Yeah.
already had. I think I sold it with like 280, and I sold it for more than I bought it for. Like, shit, man, that's awesome. Should have kept it.
Yeah.
But then a few years later, Danny and I got we got a Chevy, a 2015 Duramax, and that was a total lemon. That's a story for another video. It was a nightmare. GM fucked us.
Yeah.
But got rid of it finally, and which they then promptly lost it and were like, "Well, what'd you do with the car?" I was like, "I gave it to you, and I have video evidence of that."
I remember you telling me.
Yeah,
that story
anyway,
about
that was a shit show. So we got rid of that truck, and then I'm like, fuck it, I'm going back to a Dodge. Like, I'm going back to the Cummins.
Yeah.
I fucking love that truck, whatever. So I was online looking for it, and I happened to find a 2001 Dodge Ram 3500 dually with the 6-speed. It's 2-wheel drive, but I was going to use it to like fifth wheel tow our camper, our RV now, and like a race trailer and shit. So I was like, fuck, that's perfect.
Yeah.
It had 298,000 miles on it when we bought it. It ran like a top, and I bought it from an older gentleman in Arizona. And get this, it worked out so perfectly. I bought it for just under 10 grand, like $9,500. And when I bought it, I had Sean go down and pick it up because I drove the Chevy up to the dealership in Montana, dropped it off. We came back down to Utah. While we were doing that, he took a flight down. We just happened to jump online last minute and found a $60 flight from Utah to Phoenix. He flew down, met this dude, picked up the truck, drove it back up to Utah. By the time we got back, the new truck was in the driveway. I didn't go a single day without a truck. Like, it just worked out so perfectly. And that thing is perfect. The only thing the older dude did with it, he had a fifth wheel hitch in it because he used to tow back and forth from LA to Phoenix. And so it was just all highway miles.
Yeah.
And then he had the lift pump put in it. He had a fast lift pump put in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like really the only main things that you would need to do to that truck.
Yeah.
And it's totally stock.
Yeah.
And it is absolutely awesome.
Those are becoming super hard to
Yeah,
find.
I have had people in gas stations offer me like 14. I've had many offers for 10, but I've had 2 offers that were really crazy. One was 12.5, and another dude offered me 14 grand, and he was like, "I'll give you cash, like follow me to the bank."
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, man, I need this truck. Like, it's mine.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna have to
It's a
beat
tool,
that. You're gonna have to
yeah.
make it." I every time I'm like, "You're gonna have to make it so much money that I would be an idiot not to take it."
Yeah, and that's how you get these bubbles
Yeah.
that happen.
And I'm fine with it, but yeah, I love that truck.
Yeah.
So, all right, from that then, let's segment real quick because we're kind of running over a bit. Let's segment into, for whatever reason, you can choose the reason, it's fine, but best vehicle you ever owned. So we had first vehicle you chose, and then best vehicle you ever owned.
Oh my god, that's a difficult one.
Yeah.
Best vehicle I have ever owned.
Dude, I don't even know how many vehicles I've owned over the years. It would be kind of.
I'm trying to think of them all right now.
Yeah.
That's super difficult. Because it's almost like I want to say the Dodge, that was my first vehicle, because that thing only left me stranded, and it really did leave me stranded. It left me stranded, like, kind of stranded twice, but it was the ballast resistor. Those had a horrible ballast resistor thing that would burn out. So I learned to keep spares in the truck. But, man, other than that, and I don't want to use that one because I can't go back to that one. Best vehicle I ever owned. Man, that's such a difficult one.
That's a tough one.
It is a tough one because they're all different.
Oh no. Hold on. Okay, best vehicle you've ever owned. That is a really hard question.
It's hard because there's best vehicles for different reasons. Like,
Yeah,
at different times in my life, that was the best vehicle that I could have had to do this certain
Right.
thing, and then when I'm done with it,
But you got to pick one of those reasons.
ugh.
Yeah. See, I love this question. So I would say, and this is, oh, dude, I think it would probably pain me to admit it, but I have to say that my best vehicle would be my 1991 Nissan 240SX. The reason I say that pains me to admit is because the only vehicle that I would say compares or makes me struggle between those two is the Subaru that I crashed. So all the hate that I spew for Subarus, I still think that arguably I could make a solid argument for a Subaru being my best car ever.
Get your vapor out.
Yeah, god damn it. But yeah, so the reason I say my 240 is because my Subaru. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to disagree with that. I think the 240 was huge for me because that was the first car I ever built. I taught myself how to work on cars and how to build cars with that, so that's really important for me. And then I drifted it. That moved me from Montana to California with Danny. That's like Danny got a car identical to mine. I mean, like, that was a big car in my life. But I have to admit, I think maybe it might even be the best car that I ever owned. Might have to be my Subaru because that was the car that I crashed. And then when I crashed it, I almost killed myself and 2 good friends.
Mm.
And that moment was when I said, I want to learn. I want to be good at driving, and I'm not.
There you go.
So I would actually have to say, fuck, man. God damn it! As much as I hate Subarus and Subaru owners, I think honestly, I need to be real. I think my best car was my Subaru.
I've got an answer for this. Okay. So I think the best car I have ever owned is my Dodge truck.
Okay.
Because I did learn a lot. I did, but it was kind of, and obviously, weirdly, I would not be. Well, I maybe would be here, but I wouldn't have been. It would be different if it wasn't there to take my mom to the hospital. When she was giving birth. So.
Right.
I would say that's the best car that's ever been in my life. That's ever I've ever owned, because I'm still invested in this thing.
Yeah.
It's not worth anything. I'm still invested in it. But I would say that the best vehicle, and I'm going to say vehicle because it's not a car, in my 92 Harley is the one vehicle I've learned the most off of, other than my Dodge. The one vehicle I've learned the most off of, because that was at a point in my life when I had this vision in my head that I had to build this bike. It had to be blue. I didn't know why. I had to build this bike, it had to be blue, and I had to make a bunch of stuff on it. And I forced myself, I had to paint it, I had to do all this shit on it, and I forced myself to do it all. And it taught me that sticking to, it was like the one project I would call my, at the time, final exam. It was like, I'm going to put it all together. In terms of mechanical stuff, in terms of technical, how to piece a brake system together, how to get it all to work, how to develop it, how to do all these things, how to hand form aluminum, how to do that, how to anodize parts, how to powder coat, how to do all this stuff. That was the vehicle that put it all together. So I would say that as, other than the Dodge, would be those 2 vehicles in my life. Would be
I dig it.
yeah, that would be
the most important ones.
Most important ones.
Cool. Or
Yeah.
best, whatever you
Best,
want
most
to call it.
important.
Small world,
They
man.
stick out the most.
It's I've never actually thought about that. The
It's
whole
so
Subaru
tricky.
thing, but-
I mean, they're all super important. Like,
Yeah.
if you think about every vehicle we've ever owned, they've all been like a stepping stone to
Oh,
another
dude, my
vehicle.
Jeep taught me so much about
Yeah.
myself, actually. I mean,
Yeah.
you want to get real deep into it. Like, yeah, I learned a lot more about myself in that Jeep than I did in most of my other vehicles. But then, my Subaru learning, like, all right, I'm not invincible.
Yeah,
when
right.
I crash my
Right.
car.
I'm
like-
not. It teaches you that you are not the. Because I don't mean, being in high school and I was the driver in our group.
Yeah.
I could drive anything, I could do anything, I could drive anything, But then you realize that, oh, wait a minute, there's a skill set to this.
Yeah.
There's more, it's more than just what we deal with on a daily basis, people thinking they're fast. There's a big difference when you start to stack yourself up against people who are actually fast and can actually drive. You start to realize that, oh, wait a minute, there's more to it. There's much deeper than what I thought. And I've had vehicles teach me that, and I'm sure in your situation that kind of taught you, like, oh, wait a minute.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not just, all-wheel drive is not just about,
You know what it was? So the 4 stages of learning that I'm big on, right?
Mhm.
So the first stage, like unconscious incompetence. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
You're a teenager. You know everything,
Yeah.
whatever. And then that crash took me to the second stage of learning, which is conscious incompetence, which was like, oh my God, I don't know anything. Like
Yeah.
I have a lot to learn.
the humility of it.
And that moment was, I think, one of the biggest moments in my life, because that was very eye-opening to go like, wow, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Right.
So that was like a life lesson on top of like figuring
Before
out
that,
my
you were a
driving career.
pretender.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And then third and fourth stage, whatever. But that was it's a big deal for
Yeah,
sure.
it's huge
Those moments. Yeah.
Because think about it, if you didn't have that, I mean, you wouldn't be
I would have gotten it somewhere, but
Point.
I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
That's-
crazy.
yeah, it's
So,
nuts.
well, that being said, Jeff, always a pleasure to have you, man. We have some great conversations.
Always.
We're gonna have to do this again.
Yeah.
We got
For
7
sure.
more weeks on this tour,
Yes,
so
we're
we're
gonna-
definitely
we'll
gonna
do
do
this
this
a lot.
again. We need to get like beer together and just have guys come in and just sit down.
Yeah,
and we'll do
topics of
something.
discussion. We'll
Yeah.
start off with some beer and we'll just let it.
And just let it roll. Dude.
Rub
Maybe we'll
into
just
it.
do a live stream.
We could,
That would be fun. as
That
hell.
would be fun.
Comment down below if
Yeah.
you'd like to see Jeff and I get a few more people together and other drivers and just talk and BS about our
Yeah, see what
cars or
happens.
whatever. I don't know.
See
yeah.
what happens. You know
Yeah,
that.
let us know if you'd like
You
to
know
see that down
It will
below.
be entertaining. I guarantee it.
Anyway, hope you guys have a wonderful day. Remember to do what drives you, and get on out there, have some
Yeah.
fun. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.
Cool. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Getting out of that host seat position.
Yeah, I ended up sitting over here like guiding the interview. All right. Boom! I'm gonna get a little comfy on this.
Now you're getting comfortable.
I'm in the same position.